What's up, everyone? Dem Boys back at it with defensive pro tips. We're going to focus a little bit on 3-3-5 wide, but we're going to start this video out with tips that would apply to any defense you want to run. So that's where we'll start, then we'll work our way into 3-3-5. The most important thing that I really want to talk about with lineup is at this point in the year, shed is the way to go. So there's a life cycle of Madden every single year. Earlier in the year, you're going to see a lot of the little 3-4 odd blitzes, stuff like that, because people don't really know how to ID and slide and double team and all this to pick that kind of stuff up. As the year progresses every year, people figure out how to pick these blitzes up and shed defense, because as people figure out the blitz effectiveness goes down, but at the same time, player ratings and ability to get shed are going up. All of a sudden, we've got guys, with 91 speed, 99 power, 99 finesse. So all of a sudden, the balance shifts to where you need to be running shed defense in order to have success. And that's where we are, right? Every summer, that's what we get to. So what I really want to stress to you is no matter what you're running, each of your ends or outside linebackers, whoever it may be that you're rushing, you're going to want to put pass rush abilities and run stopper on them. And you want to get Myles Garrett specifically. What Frank Clark was to competitive Madden and salary cap mode, Myles Garrett is that to Mutt and Weekend League, all right? He is a bigger, stronger Frank Clark who can get run stopper on him. So now you're going to have run stopper on each end and run stopper in the middle, making it very difficult to run anywhere. Really making it so you can hedge your bets a little bit more towards paying pass defense and still having sound run defense, which is really what we want to be able to do to be as effective as possible, right? If you have one defense that stops as many things as possible, that's the goal. Mind-blowing, earth-shattering, stop the presses, guys. Who knew? So, beyond Myles Garrett, I really recommend Redskins pass D. Reason being, you can get Chase Young, and it boosts him way up. You can get Bruce Smith, who's basically 99 everything in this offense or defense. You can go ahead and grab Clowney as well. Then we talk about the secondary. I mean, I don't have Night Train, but you could have Night Train. I've got Sean Taylor playing middle linebacker, Champ. I could have Deion Sanders out there. I got Byron Jones, Ken Houston, Quentin Dunbar. There are so many excellent options, no matter what your budget is, to where it's worth filling that out. Now, the way I'm currently doing this, Chase Young will actually play outside linebacker. Then Lawrence Taylor will play my defensive end in the 3-3-5 wide. Myles Garrett is my D tackle. Then Bruce Smith. Then Clowney on the other far edge. So the reason I have done it that way is what I've noticed is your defensive ends in the 3-3-5 wide. So Bruce Smith, and in this case, I guess Lawrence Taylor, right, whoever you have in those spots, are going to make the least impact. Okay, so do not put your traits on those guys. You will not get the results you're looking for. I am potentially going to try switching abilities and putting them on Lawrence Taylor and taking him off of Chase Young and putting him back at end. Just because, but I will say Chase Young has been a complete stud. If I wasn't tinkering with stuff constantly, I'd leave him alone. Also, it is very helpful when people are running wide runs to have defensive ends as opposed to linebackers out there, because they're bigger, stronger, can typically shed faster, and do a better job of setting that edge. So that is another good reason to actually, in fact, put linebackers at defensive end and put defensive ends out at linebacker. Alright, so the next just general defensive tips I want to give you guys is always think about pre-snap where you can position your players to get a different result. So what I mean by that, let's say you're playing a cover 3 and someone starts running a out with a go up the seam, right? Obviously, cover 3 is going to have a hard time with that. So, you shade up and out, and you get your purple over here to go ahead and take care of that out. But now you're going to get torched up the seam, right? Well, since we're not in a spread, it's real easy for me to go ahead and take this safety and just put him right over here. Now, you become responsible for this kind of an area. So where you are then weak would be like that tight end on a drag. If there's a tight end on a drag, well, you're, might be hopping back to cover something here. A few ways that you could remedy that. You can put A on a hook. You could even go ahead and put B on a squat. So that's another thing I want to talk about. When you're getting a lot of pressure, and they're likely in a max pro, your squat is really just going to go ahead and play man, right? If there's nothing else coming through its zone. So if I am against a formation that has a wide receiver out on an island by himself, and I don't think anything's coming through the flat, because, for example, I'm pretty sure they're going to max pro. I've been getting pressure all day. When you run this defense, you're going to see people blocking extra defenders. When they start doing that, it really gets easy to hedge your bets. So now I can still, let's say the tight end is on a drag. I'm still good. Heck, if I wanted, I could even bring this guy down and go ahead and blitz him, because that squat's going to play a slant. He's going to play pretty much everything over there. So keep that kind of stuff in mind. Shrink the field down. So now we're going to go ahead and snap the ball, and you're going to see how these guys get covered. So let's go back and watch the replay. Now imagine if I'm the user, I'm obviously going to jump the tight end there. So if I cover the tight end, where do you go with the ball? Right, the tight end's going to be bagged. Your out's bagged. That deep third, since we put him over here in position, he just goes ahead and picks up the guy up the seam. You get him bracketed. That squat, since there was nothing else for the squat to play, he stays right over the top of the go. Covers everything up. So what I was able to do through understanding what's kind of potentially coming based on your formation, especially come third, fourth quarter, when you've started to see the same stuff over and over again, you really start to have a grip on what they're doing. These are the types of principles that I want you to apply to your defense. I don't care if you're playing 3-4-2, doesn't matter. All right? Does not matter. All right, so one other thing that I wanted to cover, really just kind of reiterate, something we talked about earlier in the year, is throwing the safety at the run. So if you're in, say we've got our run set up and maybe you want to go ahead and use the safety, what you can do is when they snap the ball, you're just going to run down at the line and just click off. And just get him right down into the lane, and that's going to go ahead and help you out quite a bit with run support. So just another tactic that I feel like has maybe been kind of forgotten and lost in the shuffle with everybody spying safeties and things like that. So next, you might be asking, well, what do you do if you want to play, for example, the cover 2? How are you going to set that up? Because you don't have the 5 rushers. A little bit different, which it is. Doesn't matter what we pick. So what I like to do in this scenario is I'm going to go ahead and slide my D-line away from this guy over here, and then we're going to blitz him. And that's it. We don't need to contain. We don't need to do anything else. This setup will get you crazy shed. All right, absolutely crazy shed. Now, obviously, decent shed here, right? Because we don't have all the abilities. We don't have it set up how we want. But that type of a setup will get you insane shed. Now, let's say you're like, well, what if I need this coverage over here? So what I'm going to do, I told you guys that I had Sean Taylor playing middle linebacker here. So what I would actually do is take my middle linebacker, my coverage guy, and put him here. So in this case, I would go ahead and sub Clowney out of this spot, sub Shazier in, and then move Clowney into this spot. And then I can go ahead and I would probably just send him this way, which again just kind of creates a spread over the line. And we would just try to get our shed. Like so. You see, we got one guy with some abilities there, and he gets the shed. So that's how you're going to go ahead and set this up. Universally, just if you're not in that particular cover 3. All right. One last thing that I want to talk about. It does seem like when people are doing a good job of picking apart my standard cover 3 that we're going to come out in, I do really like this cover 3 buzz. A few reasons, again, just from kind of a pro tip standpoint. What it allows, we have so much flexibility. You know, I can take this guy and man someone up and still have good coverage in the middle here. If they're in a formation like this, I could do something like that. Even bring this guy down into here. Now obviously I'm going to then be responsible for, like, if 10 here, if Y ends up trying to shoot up that seam, then I'm going to be responsible for that, right? So just different little things that we're going to go ahead and consider here. Alright, so last but dang sure not least, I really hope y'all stayed tuned through the whole video. This is why you do that, or at the very least checked my table of contents, because this is important. When I am sending 6, there is one way that I will do it 100% of the time, alright? 100% of the time. And it's actually going to be a run defense setup, which makes it even better. So I'm going to go ahead and slide strong side. In this case, that's going to be sliding the line right. If the other side's the strong side, slide left. Then I'm going to go ahead and blitz the backslide slot. So in this case, that's going to be Y. Then we're going to contain. There you go. There's your setup. That is the best way that I've found to get a whole bunch of shed in there and just wreak havoc, as well as potentially put the run game in a bad spot, right? So then you could take this safety, bring him down here. You could user him and throw him down if it's a run, or, you know, play back and user him. Bring him down, you know, all the different things that we've talked about over time, right? You can bring him down and put him here, maybe, something like that. And obviously, if there's a slant or someone come, you know, backside over there, I'd have to watch that. But they're going to have to. We're sending 6, so we know that they're either going to block their running back or their tight end, or they're going to get hammered right away, right? So that's the other thing you want to have in the back of your mind as far as how am I going to play this defense. So maybe I do something like that, get him over here, and then I just watch X, make sure X isn't on some kind of a slant. We always want to just try to kind of get in a gap and just man up a running back and try to glitch that out if we can. And here's how this would look. That to me is better than, say, pinching, bringing in, and then telling Y to blitz and contain. One of the setups that I gave you before. To me, it's better than that. I would rather do it this way. Also, because you get sheds the same, but the run, it stops the run, man. Especially when you got all the abilities on guys there. That's when you can really do damage. You know, now if I want to bring more than that, am I still going to be, you know, doing stuff like this? Yep, I am. One thing I've noticed too, sometimes if you go ahead and re-blitz him, so you get that contain look there. I've not consistently, but sometimes been able to get a 1-4-6 type of a motion. Alright, so this first one is going to be an example of me sliding a safety to protect one seam, and then putting in a yellow and going over to protect the opposite seam, like we talked about. So he had been running posts from his X receiver, so I slide the safety down over there to go ahead and take care of any post. I have a yellow in the short seam just in case anything quick's coming, and then you'll see me get deep up the seam to go ahead and user that. This next example is going to be an example of the cover 2. The only thing that you'll see differently that I didn't mention is I slide out Clowney just a touch, and that's just to kind of help him get a little bit of additional shed around that edge. It's not necessary, but it can help kick it up a notch. And you can see the shed and how effective it is. So that'll go ahead and wrap this video up. As always, guys, keep in mind I will put table of contents in the descriptions on videos that are longer or cover multiple things, so you can always reference that. Beyond that, go to Facebook, Madden Genius, that's the group. It's going to be huge for Madden 21. It's just a community of people asking and answering questions, so we can really all help each other to learn the new game. Beyond that, hit that like, comment, subscribe. Y'all are killing it. I mean, I don't know, you just go look at the gains. I don't know if you keep track or look and sometimes notice where our sub count is. But I can just tell you, we've added roughly 40 subs in the last 3 days. Big shout out to y'all. Y'all are trying to get me to that 1K goal real quick. Everybody, please take the few seconds out your day to go ahead and smash that subscribe. Dem boys. Peace.